It's been over a month now since we got our massive drop of info on what's coming next for DMZ. We learned about the new Hajin map, various returning features like multiple operators and different 3-plate vest options, lots of new features including more detailed and granular AI enemies, drag reviving, new bosses, the introduction of the bounty system, and lots more. And since then, it's basically been radio silent. The focus for Infinity Ward has all but flipped over to multiplayer, with Fanatics Fest in New York being the first opportunity for people to get their hands on with the game and give feedback on that gameplay. It started to flood in all over social media. There was a lot of talk about muzzle flash, barrel smoke, visual recoil getting in the way, in true Infinity Ward fashion. Lots of people commenting on the movement and how it felt versus Modern Warfare 2 and previous titles. That was obviously a big bone of contention in the past. Now, feedback generally did seem to be quite positive about Modern Warfare 4, with one of the main takeaways being that movement felt something of a hybrid between that of Modern Warfare 2 in 2022 and Modern Warfare 3, with things leaning more towards Modern Warfare 3 in general. And in a behind closed doors presentation that I got to see a couple of months back, we were actually shown a time trial of somebody completing a movement and target course that was specifically curated to highlight the improved movement that's coming to Modern Warfare 4. And a lot of that movement that I could see in that presentation, I could actually see in the multiplayer gameplay. So the two elements are matching up. And then with the firing effects, things like barrel smoke and muzzle flash, Infinity Ward actually came out and responded to that feedback that those elements were too strong. And they stated that the muzzle flash specifically in that clip that was shared was actually bugged. They ended up sharing another clip a day later of the fixed muzzle flash and the visual recoil, which, to be honest, to me, does still look like a little bit too much. But it does show that they're actively listening to what players are talking about, which is a good thing. But back on to DMZ, because last night a little news story broke on PC Games N, which focused a lot on Modern Warfare 4 as a general product, with the Infinity Ward boss Mark Grigsby. Now, he spoke about how the single-player campaign and how 3 different storylines are going to converge towards the end and set up kind of the beginnings of the DMZ mode. He says that stories from North Korea, South Korea, and Captain Price's rogue unit will intertwine and tell a story that bleeds into how the DMZ sort of ends up being the way that it is when you play it, as you'll then start to infill, extract, and collect various items and gear, all whilst traversing another storyline that will have been built specifically for DMZ. And this goes for the map too, Hajin. It's been specifically crafted for the game mode, and work has gone in from the narrative team who helped craft the single player to make sure the missions that you'll complete feel like they actually fit into the map. It's something the dev team has actively tried to improve on from the DMZ beta, where despite it being a great game mode, there was really no reason for you to be there, for you to be fighting there, extracting from there, really anything happening there, to be honest. The story didn't permeate deep enough below the gameplay to really give a proper reason for everything that was happening. So DMZ in Modern Warfare 4 is seeking to massively improve on that. And that brings me to the element of the interview that really caught me by surprise. Hajin is a map that's made of 3 different pieces of 3 different countries: North Korea, South Korea, and Russia. The map is shaped by a nuclear incident, a reactor has melted down, and events from the single player occur here. And when you step back into the DMZ mode, that part of the story is where you sort of continue from. The map is sort of stuck in time, where there's been a mass evacuation of civilians, and the area is now overrun by military personnel. And one of the core elements of this DMZ is going to be exploration and discovery, which is why so much emphasis has been put on the story, the lore, and the mystery this time around. Now, according to the Infinity Ward team, the bulk of the Hajin map is made up of South Korean territory. It's an exclusion zone to set up to try and contain the nuclear fallout, and that's where the radiation is at its strongest. And the other 2 landmasses, North Korea and Russia, they're going to be smaller areas, but they're all included on this map together. Into the northwest corner is where North Korea is situated, and then Russia also sits up to the north as well. And this is the real kicker. According to the PC Games N article, the Russian portion of Hajin, one of the 3 landmasses on the map, won't be playable at launch. This portion of the map will be added as a playable location in, quote, later seasons, end quote. This is not something that I'd heard before. I went back and checked my notes that I'd made from the behind-the-scenes presentation that I got to see, and I didn't make a note of this, and I cannot remember that being mentioned on the call at all. And as somebody who's a massive fan of DMZ, you can imagine how locked in I was for that part of the call, and I think it's a detail that I would have remembered if somebody mentioned it. I did also get to see a sort of top-down view of the Hajin map, offset on an angle a little bit from the menus, and I thought it looked like a complete map to me from that very brief look that I got of it. But of course, it was only a very brief look, and it was over a month ago now, and I'm struggling to actually remember what the map looked like. I can't even recall what the shape of the map is anymore. I've completely forgotten. We can, of course, see in some of the screenshots here on the screen what the map is going to look like, but it's not an overall look of the map. And I don't remember seeing a Russian portion of the map, like, completely blocked out or anything like that, or like a massive red mark over a certain corner or anything like that. That wasn't apparent in the behind-the-scenes presentation, so this is definitely not something I'd heard before. This information, though, that the Russian portion of the map isn't going to be playable until later seasons, it does lead me to properly believe what the Infinity Ward developers have been saying up to this point, is that Hajin is being specifically crafted as a map that is in place not only to be a battleground for different players who want to extract cool loot, but who are also going to be expected to complete missions that progress a story and a proper narrative. Having an entire region of the map basically ring-fenced off, set aside for future seasons, that tells me the story is going to take us in different directions, and different factions are going to enter that story, and then they'll exit that mission structure. And if we have to take the current DMZ as an example, it's not entirely unexpected that this is happening, it just caught me by surprise. DMZ Beta introduced no less than 4 new maps during its life cycle. We got Building 21, Ashika Island, Vondel, and the Koshé Complex, which was accessible through bunkers under Al Mazrah. Each of those maps introduced new elements to the DMZ storyline, they added new factions, introduced new gameplay elements, and they took DMZ in a different direction. So I see no reason why the next DMZ is not going to do the same, with additional play spaces, such as the unlocking of this Russian landmass at a later date, and potentially even different maps moving into the future. Looking at other extraction shooters already on the market, games like Escape from Tarkov and Ark Raiders, those games incorporate different maps into the experience, and they change up the gameplay to offer you a different way to play. And I think Infinity Ward is going to be doing that big time here with DMZ, and it seems to all be starting when this Russian landmass is unlocked during a post-launch season. We've got a lot to look forward to with regards to DMZ and Modern Warfare 4. COD Next has been confirmed for August 21st this year, as well as the beta for Modern Warfare 4 kicking off right after COD Next on the same day. In the blog post for that announcement specifically, there was no mention of DMZ being part of the beta, and I'm not entirely sure I ever expected it to be honest, since it's so narratively tied to the single player, there's bound to be some significant spoilers in the DMZ mode. However, don't rule out being able to play DMZ on August 21st, you never know. Call of Duty might pull a rabbit out of the hat. And then a second open beta weekend will run from August 28th to September the 1st. And that one is going to include Nintendo Switch 2 support as well, which I find incredibly interesting. But as always, as more details on the new version of DMZ come to light and come through, I'll be sure to keep you updated. But for now, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you all very soon.